Hey everybody, and welcome to Xavia Fox Talks again. And I am your host, Xavia Fox. Tonight we have that show that everybody's been waiting for. It is the Brothers of the Round Table. Yes, the all-male panel. They're going to discuss relationships and women. It is somewhat like our regular relationship show. There's no holds barred. So they are going to say exactly what's on their mind, exactly the way that it comes across, how it comes out, whatever they're thinking. That's what we're going to get. Raw and uncut. The best way to get it. So, no pun intended. Okay, well, so we see already that this is going to be a very interesting show. So I am going to turn it over to the gentlemen who are going to present their questions that they've chosen, the questions that some of you have sent to me via inbox or my page, or some of these questions I stole from some of you guys. Anyway, they're going to present their questions and answers, and, you know, ladies, we should probably pay attention to what they have to say. We're getting it straight from, I don't want to call them horses, but we're getting it straight from their mouths, and we should we should take it we should take it to heart. So, with all that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, gentlemen.
Okay, I'm Will, and you probably know me from Facebook as Scooby, and I'm the one that writes the erotic stories. So, let's start off with this. Who has the upper hand in relationships? I'm going to say who has the upper hand is the one that doesn't confess that they're in love with him yet. They're waiting to, let's use an example.
Me?
Yeah, let's use you as an example. Since you're here, if we got together and you just said, Scuba, I am so in love with you, before I did, I got the upper hand.
Good point.
So it's not a male or female thing, it's about he who loves the least has the control.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
So, now, you're done. Gentlemen.
I agree with that. Whoever loves the most or the hardest in a relationship is at the disadvantage. And I think you're absolutely right, because in every relationship there's one that loves a little bit more than the other one. So whoever it is that loves the most will be at the disadvantage. I agree with that.
I tend to disagree a little bit. I think that you talked about someone who says that they love the other person first. There's a lot of Macs out there, probably a couple at this table. If you say you love someone, you really don't love that person. You may be able to manipulate that person's emotions and feelings and things of that nature. And the person that really loves is the person that's been told that I love you too. And so I'm not going to lie, I've done that in my time, and I know that I probably had the upper hand. I was the puppeteer, and she was the puppet. So probably not the person who said I love you first.
Well, let me interject. First of all, I want to say thank you, Max, for inviting me on to sit on this forum and this panel of such great men, most that I know personally. When it comes to talking about who has power in a relationship, is to me, it's ideally the one that actually takes the lead. So, one person's going to take power, one person's going to cede power. It's you talk about the one who loves the least and the one who like you were giving your example just a few minutes ago. When I looked at my mother and my father, at one point my father, she ceded power to him because he was the man and he had authority in the household. At one point when he lost his job and her outcome outpaced his, then that's when she took over and she was the alpha female in the household. So, I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about, power as in, the power to tell somebody what to do and I need you to go clean my drawers? Or are we talking about, power in the household or in the relationship? And
no,
yeah, that's exactly what are we
It just says who has the upper hand.
Upper hand. Yeah,
right.
Upper hand.
Upper hand how? I mean, upper hand is in what I got power over you to make you do.
Maybe the one who gets who could control the relationship, who could say, I'm done with you, or I'm gonna do this and you ain't gotta say so, or kind of like giving that person permission to act a fool because I know you're into me and I may not be into you, but I can go act a fool and then come back to you because I know you're into me more so than I am you.
I had a response, but I think when you said defining upper hand, that really got me, because I was going to agree with you with the person that least is invested with the person. It's like, you know, if you liking me a whole lot, I know you like me, and I don't like you as much, you're going to work harder to make that relationship work. So when you say the upper hand, it's the person I think that really doesn't care if it works or not. So if I'm liking you, but you're loving me, then obviously you want to make it work. I can kind of be doing whatever I want to do, but I think that when you say upper hand in a relationship, what right does that give you because you have the upper hand?
Maybe upper hand means emotional disadvantage. You know, the power, as he said, to manipulate situations, circumstances, the power to manipulate feelings. So, and that's in every relationship. There's one marriage, relationship, doesn't matter. There's always one that loves a little harder and a little more than the other one. And when you say who has that upper hand, the upper hand is going to mean the power to have control of the relationship.
Right, so that could be
with the way it goes.
Right, so that could be, you know, you talking to a chick and you know she head over heels for you, and whenever you call, she just. So that could be an example of upper hand, could it not?
Yeah, well,
that's an example of upper hand. But I mean, it's up to that individual. Yeah, it could be perceived as an upper hand, but that's up to the individual if they're going to be that naive to let a person do whatever they're going to do to them. Sure. You know, so if like the example when whoever says I love who first doesn't mean the person who didn't say it first is at a disadvantage. It actually gives them a chance to evaluate what situation they're about to get into.
And that's what I was about to point out too, that it seems that the person that's going to have the upper hand is going to be the person that's the wiser of the two, the one that really knows themselves and then therefore knows, you know, sometimes you get in a relationship and you know exactly how far the relationship is going to take place or how long it's going to take place or how far it's going to go. So if I can come in that relationship and look at you and say, hey, you know what, hey, I'm really liking you. And, you know, I think I want to know you a little bit more. Regardless of what you think, I still have that power because then if I want to push the issue, I should be able to know what to do to be able to push that issue to last long. But if I know it's going to be a short rendezvous, then therefore I'm going to treat it accordingly. So I think the person that's the wiser person to know exactly where that relationship or have a purpose for that relationship, I think that's going to be the person who always have an upper hand, regardless if that person is in love with that person or not. If I don't want it to go any further and I feel I have that and I know I have that power to utilize that, then it won't go any further.
So the individual who's actually in control of themselves in the relationship has the upper hand.
But being in love, don't you lose that control?
Not at all, because love is not lose control.
Being in love, don't you know, lose some of that ability to stand pat, so to speak?
I don't think so. I think that we're not really talking about specific sexes, men and women. I think if you're a man, you're actually seriously pursuing a relationship with a woman, then that woman absolutely has the upper hand. Because she gets to set her boundaries, especially if she's a woman understanding and comfortable with who she is. She gets to set the boundaries, she gets to set the rules, and all of that. And especially if you marry her, she absolutely has the upper hand because if mama ain't happy, nobody.
I don't know about that. This is one thing I would always say, that the woman definitely makes that decision whether or not she wants to really invest in that man. But the man absolutely knows after that first meeting whether or not he wants to invest in that woman. So at that case, both giving up power. So I don't care who you are. If you give me the opportunity and the time, you don't have the upper hand because you're going to do what I want you to do, regardless if you're going to do it today or tomorrow or next week. You still gonna do what I want you to do, regardless. So I'm not giving any power, and I'm not trying to take any power away. So there's really no, just because you into me or I'm into you, there's a little bit play, room for more play. That's about it. And we can play around with it a little longer, or we cannot play around with it a little longer. We can invest in it a little bit more, or we cannot invest. But because I don't get what I want from you, that don't mean you got no upper hand.
I mean, isn't that? At this table, is it fair for me to say that there's a consensus that women ultimately, at most times, want to dominate a situation when it comes to us?
No.
I don't say
Is it?
dominant, I wouldn't say that.
Could you all agree that women always want to have the upper hand because why they want to manipulate you to do what you want them to
I
do?
think they just try to
And it
test
may not be a
us.
bad
I
thing.
don't think so.
I think they just try to test us.
They want a man to take the lead.
I agree.
See, they don't want to push over. They want to push your buttons, do this, and then
Just to see
you
how
probably
far
say,
you get.
"Look at
Wait, wait,
it,
wait,
man, I'm
they
tired
don't
of this
wanna
shit."
push
They go,
over?
"Okay, sorry."
They don't want to push over.
No, they
No.
There's some that
I've
may
said that
give
many
off
times.
that attitude that they want to push over, but in reality, oh no, they want to save them.
We paint, absolutely painting
a man.
women with a broad brush here. There are different types of women. There are women that are pretty dominating and they want a guy that can step on his neck. There are other types of women that absolutely are docile and want a man to tell them what to do. I have friends that have different types of dynamics in their relationships. And so ultimately, I think that women do want a man to actually play the role as a man, unless they haven't been properly raised in the effect to look at a man that way. And that's another subject.
That's
Maybe somebody's question.
Let me ask a question because I have a real life scenario to bring to this question about who has the upper hand. When I was working at the FBI, I worked with a guy that he was married. He had been married for about 12 years, and I knew he loved his wife. I met his wife; she was gorgeous. They had kids. They had obviously had a good relationship. I asked him one day if when he wanted to hook up and go hang out or whatever. And he was like he didn't know. This was like a week before actually we had went out to go do something. So the day before, which was that Friday, was going to hang that Saturday, he canceled us. And I said, before I asked him, what's up for Saturday, I said, well, what you doing this weekend? He said, oh, whatever my wife tell me to do. And I was like, okay, so I mean, is we gonna hang or what? But it was just like, he was so malleable and docile. Like, if his wife called him like, look, I need you to do X, Y, Z, he'd be like, okay. I'm just like, and so in that particular situation, obviously his wife had the upper hand because
She had more than that.
he was like he was like a puppet on some strings. Like, what is that? Is that what we're talking about? Or?
But it could be the even exchange.
No,
she
man.
could be doing the same thing
That's true,
and having the same expectation, and she do the exact same thing. They give him the ability to be able to say, "Hey, you know what? You give it to me, then you know about right. I'm gonna give it to you."
Okay, that's fair enough. And,
Excuse me?
You know,
okay, that's fair.
You think about the Doug Christie
That could be.
of basketball. That joker wife used to be in the locker room, at the interviews, everywhere she go. But on the flip side, what they didn't tell, that joker was just the same way about his wife.
Okay.
Nobody can't say nothing to her or look to
Well,
her.
that might be true.
shoot.
But I didn't know. I don't know the
that
situation
could
with how
be.
she was.
That could be, but you hear a guy say something like that, it just really doesn't. It doesn't sound like. It gives a scenario that she's the aggressive one in the relationship, when he says, "Well, I have to check with my wife, or I have to do whatever she says. I have to do this honey list first, or whatever." When you hear guys talk like that, it gives the thought of being henpecked or being controlled or whatever. So most guys are not even going to answer like that. They're just
that's what
not.
I'm thinking.
They're
He
going to
could
say,
be just
"Well,
keeping the peace. They may just want quiet.
that's true." But does he have to keep the peace by telling him?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
But at the same time,
I'm not gonna punk myself to my own boy.
at the same time, it could be just
But then again, your boy should know how your wife is to begin with. So.
Yeah, but I'm not going to just openly say.
Yeah, you don't say
Hey,
that like that.
I'm
Okay, I give you a perfect scenario. Chances are, a woman's not going to say that. If her girlfriend's on the phone and she's saying, "Well, are we going out to lunch or whatever? Are you going to be able to go?" She's not going to say, "Well, whatever my husband wants me to do,"
No,
or
you won't
whatever.
hear that.
And most women are going to say, "Oh no, girl, that ain't no."
That's not what Jill Scott sang. That
You
song.
have to maintain a sense.
What's the name of that song? You know
You
what
have
I'm
to
talking about.
maintain a sense of individuality.
So what's she supposed to say?
In a
Or what's he
situation like
supposed to say?
I can tell you what he and she is supposed to say. In a situation like that, he's supposed to say, "You know what? Let me check a few things out, and I'll get back to you."
Or he can't say, let me check out what my other half gotta
My
say.
wife, that's your spouse. I mean, the respect level, that's your spouse. I mean, at the end of the day, that's your spouse. At the end of the day, you a homie, you a partner. I don't care how you feel. I'll make sure my wife happy. If she's happy, I'm happy.
Right.
It's a difference between.
And I mean, I know what you say. I know. And sometimes the way you talk is gonna be like, "Hey, I'm let me see what my wife doing. If she got plans, I want to see what she."
That was after the fact, though. My man said, "We looking up."
in about a week.
Right.
Look at young. He wasn't like, okay, I don't have no problem with that. I don't have no problem respecting your wife, okay? But we men. I mean, we need to get back to men running the show. That's not. I'm not speaking from a chauvinistic perspective or dominating or domineering perspective. There is a loss of men being men. What happened to men calling the shots?
Put the flag down.
Exactly. There is a reason why I have a penis and I am the man, and why I'm supposed to be the provider and supposed to be providing security for you and taking care of you, and if I'm fulfilling all those requirements, why should I have to check with you to do?
I'm gonna tell you why.
To do something.